This is our past, gentlemen. This is where we have been. This is how we got here. This is who we are today.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
It's not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends.
They're strong, fast, and undefeated. So far. But I want you to remember where God has brought us. I want you to remember how hard you've worked. We weren't supposed to have a winning season, but we do. We weren't supposed to advance through the playoffs, but we did. We're not supposed to be here, but we are. So if there's anything in you that says this is a losing effort, throw it out. Because as I stand here, I believe that as long as we honor God, nothing is impossible.
Welcome back to Diggin' Deeper, folks. I am your host, Brian Parsons, thanking you for joining me today for another broadcast of Diggin' Deeper into the NFL. We are a Christian ministry, but also sports fans who enjoy the competition of many leagues, including the National Football League. We will never forget our roots as a Christian ministry, but that does not mean we cannot explore other interests as well. He is clear, however, that these interests must never take priority over him. With that in mind, let's go digging deeper into the NFL. On today's program, we'll go digging deeper into Week 11, and Week 11 did not disappoint. It delivered some real tell-you-who-you-are moments, clutch plays, heated moments, and a few gut punches. Here's how it all went down, what happened, why teams lost, and why these games matter as the season grinds toward its second half. Week 11 kicked off on Thursday Night Football, with the New England Patriots handling the New York Jets 27-14 in a game defined by efficiency, versatility, and a breakout performance from rookie running back Tre'Von Henderson. While the score was close, honestly, it never felt like the Jets were ever a serious threat. This has been one of those seasons for the Jets when, even when they play well, they find ways to lose. For the last 3 decades, this feels like the typical scripts for any Jets fan. While the Jets opened the night with an impressive 14-play, 8-minute touchdown drive capped by a Justin Fields run, after that strong start, their offense stalled, producing 3 consecutive 3-and-outs and never fully regaining momentum. New England answered quickly and forcefully. Drake May played one of his most composed games of the season, completing 25 of 34 passes for 281 yards while avoiding turnovers. Henderson was the true engine of the offense, scoring 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground and 1 through the air, and consistently creating mismatches the Jets struggled to contain. On the other side of the ball, Justin Fields put together a gritty but limited performance against the Patriots in Week 11, finishing 15 of 26 for 116 passing yards with 1 touchdown and no interceptions. While he struggled to push the ball downfield through the air, he was far more impactful on the ground, carrying the ball 11 times for 67 yards and adding a rushing touchdown on the Jets' opening drive. Despite his effort, Fields faced heavy pressure throughout the night and couldn't generate enough explosive plays to keep the Jets' offense moving after their strong start, ultimately contributing to New York's offensive stall in the loss. Stefon Diggs also made his presence felt, hauling in 9 catches for 105 yards and providing May a reliable target all night. New England controlled the flow of the game, not just with their scheme, but with their pace. The Patriots outgained the Jets in total yardage, putting up 336 total yards to New York's 245, and held the ball for 31 minutes and 56 seconds, compared to the Jets' 28 minutes and 04 seconds. A key turning point came in the third quarter, when Henderson caught a 6-yard touchdown pass from May to push the Patriots' lead to 21-7. The Jets responded with a Fields to John Mechie touchdown, a 22-yard strike, to make things interesting. But New York's hopes unraveled late. A low snap turned into a fumble deep in Patriots territory, giving New England the ball back and setting up a go-ahead field goal. The Patriots added another field goal in the fourth quarter to salt the game away. The Jets lost this one because, After a promising start, they couldn't sustain drives, especially through the air, and their execution slipped when it mattered most. The Patriots won because they played smart, disciplined football. Henderson made big plays, May stayed efficient, and New England leaned on their strengths when it mattered. This win means a lot for New England. They've now won 8 straight, and the way they're clicking gives them serious momentum as they continue their push. The Patriots are in a real fight with the Bills for the AFC East. And while the Patriots seem to be rolling on all levels, the Bills are struggling, even in their wins. For the Jets, the loss is another reminder that they need to sharpen their fundamental execution and improve in big moments if they're going to compete in this division in seasons to come. There are a lot of questions that have to be answered by the Jets in the weeks to come headed into a long off-season. Let's move on from 2 AFC East teams to another, the Miami Dolphins, as they took on the Washington Commanders in Madrid, Spain. This showdown was historic, not just because of the tight score, but because it took place in Madrid, the first ever regular season NFL game played in Spain. The Washington Commanders, reeling and fragile, took on a Miami Dolphins that can score points, looking to stabilize a foundation that may or may not involve Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa, with both teams trying to build momentum as their seasons hang in the balance. Both teams have 0 playoff hopes, but it's important now to find out what you have and what you will need headed into the offseason. From the get-go, the game had that low-scoring, grinded-out feel. Miami struck first with a 46-yard field goal from Riley Patterson, but Washington answered back, and by halftime it was a 6-6 tie. The Commanders' offense leaned into the ground game, and running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. punctuated a third-quarter drive with a 20-yard pass from Marcus Mariota to Deebo Samuel, who powered into the end zone for the game's only touchdown at that point. But Miami wasn't going to roll over. Devon Achane again showed why he's the heartbeat of their offense, churning out yardage with efficiency and vision, flirting with the goal line late in the fourth. The Commanders' defense stiffened just when it counted, though. On a critical 4th and goal from the 1-yard line, Javon Kinlaw and Eddie Goldman teamed up to stuff Achane, denying Miami a go-ahead score. It was a gutsy stand, yet Washington couldn't finish. Late in regulation, the Commanders drove into position, but Matt Gay's 56-yard field goal attempt drifted wide right, sending the game into overtime. And in OT, on the very first play, Marcus Mariota floated a pass over the middle that Dolphins cornerback Jack Jones picked off, returning it well into Washington territory. That set the stage, and Riley Patterson nailed a 29-yard walk-off field goal to give Miami a 16-13 victory in front of the Madrid crowd. Marcus Mariota had a solid, if ultimately costly, performance for Washington, completing 14 of 20 passes for 171 yards, but throwing no touchdown. But to offset this, he committed no turnovers. Miami's Devon Achane led the way on the ground, racking up 120 rushing yards and finishing with 165 all-purpose yards, keeping the Dolphins' offense on schedule and setting up the game-winning field goal. Deebo Samuel was the Commanders' primary weapon, hauling in 7 catches for 74 yards and scoring their lone receiving touchdown. Miami's Devon Achane led the way on the ground, racking up 120 rushing yards and finishing with 165 all-purpose yards, keeping the Dolphins' offense on schedule and setting up the game-winning field goal. Despite Miami's victory, Washington actually outgained them in total offense, putting up 379 yards to Miami's 311, and held the ball longer, controlling possession for 32 minutes and 36 seconds compared to Miami's 29 minutes and 51 seconds. The difference, of course, came down to execution in key moments, including the Commanders' missed field goal and the overtime interception that set up Miami's walk-off. An intriguing NFC matchup pitted the Green Bay Packers against the New York Giants as the Packers traveled east to MetLife Stadium. Both teams came in with different stakes. The Packers trying to prove they still have playoff credibility under their star quarterback, Jordan Love, and the Giants looking to gain traction and stabilize their season behind veteran backup, filling in for rookie Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston. Jordan Love completed 13 of 24 passes for 174 yards, throwing 2 touchdowns with no interceptions per the Packers. He briefly exited early in the game with a shoulder injury, but returned to engineer a go-ahead drive, showing poise under pressure. Meanwhile, Jameis Winston for the Giants went 19 of 29 for 201 passing yards, tossed 1 interception, and added a rushing touchdown. Love was efficient and avoided turnovers, making big throws when it counted, while Winston showed flashes but made a costly late mistake that his defense couldn't clean up. Green Bay's victory was a gritty, hard-fought road victory in East Rutherford. The Packers held the ball for just 24 minutes and 04 seconds, while the Giants held it for 35 minutes and 56 seconds. Staying with a common theme in the NFL, Green Bay totaled 296 yards on offense, while the Giants racked up 336. But Green Bay came away with the victory. Green Bay's balance showed 168 passing yards and 128 rushing yards. Meanwhile, New York had 194 passing yards and 142 rushing yards, but also gave up 2 turnovers. Key plays include, in the fourth quarter, Winston running the ball into the end zone, with 4 minutes and 2 seconds left in the fourth quarter, Younghoe Koo adding the extra point to take a 20-19 lead. But Love connected with Christian Watson for a go-ahead touchdown, and Green Bay then converted a 2-point try to put it out of reach. In the final minute, Evan Williams intercepted Winston in the end zone, sealing the win for the Packers. Then, Micah Parsons forced a late fumble recovered by Rashawn Gary to end the Giants' final drive. Green Bay's ability to win despite a huge deficit in possession is telling. They made the most of limited opportunities, staying efficient with big plays when it counted. Their balanced offense and opportunistic defense made a difference. The Giants, on the other hand, moved the ball well and controlled much of the game clock, but untimely turnovers and missed red zone chances ultimately cost them. This game was a fun watch, but it has playoff implications for Green Bay as they stay afloat and keep position after the victory, improving to 6 wins, 3 losses, and a tie. For New York, Big Blue season has truly made their entire fan base and front office blue. But they do have a few pieces to hang their hats, including a young, talented core of players at quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. If this core progresses and grows in the seasons to come and stay healthy, the Giants could challenge for the division as they once did. In a tense Week 11 matchup in Nashville between 2 AFC South rivals, the Houston Texans narrowly defeated the Tennessee Titans 16-13, thanks to a clutch 35-yard field goal by Matthew Wright as time expired. The quarterback matchup featured Davis Mills for Houston, who went 26 of 41 for 274 yards and 1 touchdown, orchestrating a late-game drive with poise under pressure, while Cam Ward of Tennessee completed 24 of 37 passes for 194 yards and a touchdown, keeping the Titans competitive throughout. Houston's offense leaned on Nico Collins, who hauled in 9 receptions for 92 yards, and the Texans' only touchdown, while the ground game was modest for both teams. Houston rushed for 75 yards, Tennessee for 58, but both used their rushers to manage the clock and set up key plays. The Texans controlled time of possession at 31 minutes and 03 seconds, compared to Tennessee's 28 minutes and 57 seconds, and also outgained the Titans in total offense, 315 yards to 229. Key moments define the game's dramatic arc. Tennessee struck first with a 56-yard field goal from Joey Sly, and added another 47-yarder in the third quarter to build a 6-0 lead. Houston responded with a 3-yard touchdown pass from Mills to Collins, swinging momentum in their favor, and 2 more field goals from Wright in the second half kept the Texans just ahead. Late in the fourth quarter, Tennessee executed a 95-yard drive, culminating in a 4-yard touchdown pass from Ward to Van Jefferson to tie the game 13-13. But Houston answered on the final drive, highlighted by a 3rd and -16 conversion from Mills to Collins, setting up Wright's walk-off kick as time expired. This win was significant for Houston, moving them to 5-5, and proving they can close out tight games even without their long-term starters, giving their season renewed momentum. For Tennessee, the loss was a tough setback. Their late comeback showed resilience, but failing to finish at home leaves them facing an uphill climb in a season that has been inconsistent. Execution in critical moments ultimately separated the teams, highlighting Houston's efficiency and the Titans' struggles in crunch time. Cam Ward continues to improve, showing growth and composure in the pocket, but despite his progress, the Titans continue to struggle in nearly every aspect of the game. The Texans, now 5-5 on the season, continue to win despite a rocky start and starting quarterback C.J. Stroud out of action. This victory, while not pretty, is important because it keeps their playoff hopes alive. For Tennessee, the loss was another tough blow. The Titans are more likely to finish with the number 1 overall pick for a second straight season than the Texans are to win their division. Yet, even in defeat, the Titans' defense continues to perform admirably, and Cam Ward's steady growth gives some hope for the future. And in victory, the Texans' defense continues to stand strong, and Davis Mills continues to make big plays to illustrate why he deserves to be in the NFL. To end on this game in Music City, which Titans fans were left singing the blues, this game underscores the Texans' resilience, a team that continues to win despite injuries and a slow start, and highlights the Titans' ongoing struggles, despite flashes of promise from Cam Ward and a capable defensive unit. Execution in critical moments ultimately separated the teams, keeping Houston's playoff hopes alive and leaving Tennessee to grapple with another narrow defeat. Staying in the South, the Atlanta Falcons took on the Carolina Panthers in a strong divisional matchup inside the Dome at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This one was fun. This wild contest in Atlanta saw the Carolina Panthers pull off a dramatic 30-27 overtime victory over the Falcons, capped off by a 28-yard game-winning field goal by Ryan Fitzgerald. It was a career day for quarterback Bryce Young, who completed 31 of 45 passes for 448 yards and 3 touchdowns, doing more than enough to carry Carolina's offense when they needed him most. Maybe it's an overreaction feel, but perhaps this is the game that illustrates why Young was selected as the #1 pick a few seasons ago. The Falcons opened the scoring early, with Bijan Robinson punching in a 4-yard rushing touchdown, but Carolina struck back quickly on a short pass from Young to Te'Dioha McMillan, who did the rest across the goal line. In the second quarter, Atlanta piled on 2 more rushing scores from Robinson and Tyler Allgeier to build a 21-7 lead at halftime. Just looking at the first half of the game, most would probably say this was a typical start for Carolina. However, there's a reason why you play 2 halves, as Carolina wouldn't back down. Young found Xavier Legette for a staggering 36-yard touchdown in the third quarter, and Fitzgerald added a 34-yard field goal to draw the Panthers within striking distance, 21-19 going into the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, a 52-yard field goal from Falcons kicker Zane Gonzalez gave Atlanta a 24-19 lead, but Young answered in clutch fashion. A late drive culminated in a 12-yard touchdown connection with McMillan, and Young then completed a 2-point conversion to Jalen Coker to tie the game at 27-27 with just over a minute left. Overtime featured a defining moment. Young dropped back and fired a 54-yard bomb to Tommy Tremble, setting up Fitzgerald's decisive 28-yard field goal. From a statistical standpoint, Carolina absolutely dominated. The Panthers racked up 486 total net yards to the Falcons, 348, and held the ball for 37 minutes and 07 seconds compared to Atlanta's 27 minutes and 43 seconds. Going into the season, few thought this game would mean anything, as few thought the Panthers had a shot at a successful season. For a team like Carolina, success is subjective, of course, but few thought they had a shot at the playoffs, let alone winning the division, and with this win, they can mathematically win this division. This win is big for Carolina. It improves their record and gives the Panthers renewed momentum in a season that's been up and down. For the Falcons, it's another bitter loss. They lose despite a strong start and a lead, and their season feels more tenuous than ever. Their offense showed flashes, but they couldn't close it out when it mattered most. Let's stay with divisional games between 2 NFC North showdown at US Bank Stadium. The Chicago Bears rallied to beat the Minnesota Vikings 19-17, capped off by a 48-yard field goal from Cairo Santos as time expired. The Bears improved to 7-3 with their third straight comeback, showcasing resilience in a tight road contest. Chicago quarterback Caleb Williams completed 16 of 32 passes for 193 yards, while running back DeAndre Swift carried the load with 90 rushing yards on 21 attempts. The Bears' defense contributed significantly, forcing 2 interceptions of Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who finished 16 of 32 with 150 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Despite Minnesota's fight, critical turnovers and missed opportunities proved costly. From a statistical standpoint, the Bears held the ball for 36 minutes and 59 seconds compared to the Vikings, 23 minutes and 01 second, using sustained drives and efficient clock management to their advantage. Total yardage favored Chicago, with 320 yards to Minnesota's 265 yards. Key plays included a 56-yard kickoff return by Devin Duvernay, which set up the game-winning field goal, and a clutch fourth-quarter interception by Kevin Byard III that stifled a Vikings scoring chance. In Florida, the Jacksonville Jaguars took on the Los Angeles Chargers, and while the Chargers were expected to win, the Jaguars sent a loud roar in Week 11, dismantling the Los Angeles Chargers 35-6 at Everbank Stadium, behind a bruising run game and a suffocating defense. Even with Justin Herbert's golden locks shining on the field, there's nothing locked in about the Chargers this season. They remain one of the league's most unpredictable teams, capable of brilliance one week and puzzling struggles the next. It might sound surprising for a team sitting at 7-4 after a recent loss, but the Chargers, led by Justin Herbert and head coach Jim Harbaugh, have struggled to find any consistency this season. While they currently sit ahead of the Chiefs in the standings, they trail the Broncos And at this point, it increasingly looks like the AFC West crown will belong to Denver. Trevor Lawrence was efficient. He completed 14 of 22 passes for 153 yards and tossed a touchdown and an interception. But more importantly, he controlled the game. He even added a 1-yard rushing touchdown in the third quarter to stretch the Jaguars' lead. Jacksonville leaned hard on its backs all afternoon, and it paid off. Rookie Bashal Tutin carried 19 times for 74 yards and found the end zone, while Travis Etienne Jr. added 73 yards on 18 carries and 2 touchdowns. Together, the pair powered a dominant ground attack that racked up 192 rushing yards. For Los Angeles, it was a sobering trip to Florida. Quarterback Justin Herbert was held to just 81 passing yards, 2 sacks, and threw an interception. Their offense couldn't get going, their line was physically outmatched, and the Chargers' dreams of building momentum were effectively buried in Jacksonville's trenches. Josh Hines Allen made history, breaking the franchise's all-time sack record during the game. Antonio Johnson, the Jaguars' safety, sealed the game with a key interception, a methodical 16-play, 76-yard drive late in the game, capped by a 1-yard pass from Lawrence to Tim Patrick that drained the clock and put the game away. Defensive stand early in the second quarter. After recovering an interception, Jacksonville's defense denied the Chargers a touchdown, forcing a field goal instead. Consistent third-down conversions by Jacksonville, especially in the second half, kept Chargers' rallies from building steam. The Jaguars' dominant performance against the Chargers raises the question of whether this win signals a refocused team. Coming off a brutal collapse in Houston, fans are hopeful that Jacksonville has regained its footing. The Jaguars controlled the game from start to finish, finishing with 37 minutes and 55 seconds of possession, while the Chargers managed just 22 minutes and 5 seconds. Jacksonville's offense dictated the pace, and their defense kept Los Angeles off the field for long stretches. This matchup carried significant playoff implications for both teams. Both are trailing in their respective divisions. And while there is still plenty of football left to play, the Broncos in the AFC West and the Colts in the AFC South appear comfortably positioned as long as they maintain their strong starts. While the Chargers remain a notoriously difficult team to predict, the Jaguars aren't far behind in terms of inconsistency. Jacksonville has invested heavily in talent, and quarterback Trevor Lawrence, sporting hair as notable as Justin Herbert's, can make explosive plays with his arm. Yet the team has struggled to find steady footing. A strong early season stretch had fans questioning whether the Jaguars were legitimate contenders. But just as quickly as that hot start arrived, they began teetering on mediocrity. The Buffalo Bills hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. This felt like a heavyweight fight, and the game did not disappoint. In a back-and-forth battle with serious playoff implications, the Buffalo Bills came out on top, edging the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 44-32 in a wild Week 11 showdown. The win proved critical for Buffalo, who continues to chase stability in the AFC, while Tampa Bay, despite a monster ground game, couldn't close the deal. Josh Allen was once again the engine for the Bills. He accounted for 6 total touchdowns, 3 through the air and 3 on the ground, including a rugged 9-yard rushing score late in the fourth quarter to put the game away. He finished with 317 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, and overcame 2 first-half interceptions. Let us look at a bit of NFL history. The first quarterback to have 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns in a single game was Otto Graham in 1954, followed by Sammy Baugh, and then Allen, who now has 2 such games. The first time Allen recorded 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns was in a game against the Los Angeles Rams last season, and again achieved this rare feat in Week 11 against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay leaned heavily on the run, and it showed. The Bucs churned out 202 rushing yards, their most in a game in a long time. Sean Tucker was a workhorse, carrying 19 times for 106 yards and scoring 2 rushing touchdowns, plus another score on a reception. Baker Mayfield was efficient when called upon, finishing with 173 yards through the air, 1 passing touchdown, but also tossed a costly interception. The game was fun and had a lot of big moments and saw 9 lead changes, underscoring just how chaotic and high stakes it was. In the third quarter, Mayfield was intercepted by Cole Bishop, a turnover that Buffalo ripped the momentum from and turned into a touchdown drive. With under 3 minutes left, Allen broke free for a 9-yard rush to extend Buffalo's lead. The dagger came when Daquan Jones forced a Mayfield fumble on a sack late in the fourth, sealing Tampa's fate. For the Buccaneers, this loss stings. They showed flashes, But in a game where they had control multiple times, they couldn't finish. Head coach Todd Bowles and his squad will need to regroup quickly if they want to keep pace. While it was unforeseen at the beginning of the season and as little as a month ago, the Panthers are doing their best to make the NFC season a competitive race. The Bills' win improves their record to 7-3, reinforcing their place in the AFC hunt and proving they can execute in high-pressure moments. But the Patriots are showing they are the best team in the division and perhaps the entire AFC. Even with a dominant running game, the Bucs struggled to close. Their lead slipped away, and costly turnovers, especially deep in Buffalo territory, came back to haunt them. Tampa's coverage unit had a rough day, surrendering big returns that repeatedly gave Buffalo short fields. Now we turn our attention to Pittsburgh, where AFC North rivals clash in a pivotal showdown between the Steelers and the Bengals. The quarterback matchup added an intriguing wrinkle, as two seasoned veterans, Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers, both in their 40s, faced off once more, promising one more classic duel under center. Perhaps on paper, or for nostalgia's sake, the matchup between Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers carries more appeal than a duel between Rodgers and Joe Burrow. But in this game, the Steelers asserted control, pulling away from the Cincinnati Bengals for a decisive 34-12 victory that highlighted the volatility of the AFC North. The win provided Pittsburgh with critical momentum, while Cincinnati was left grappling with unanswered questions about its direction. The Steelers executed efficiently on both sides of the ball, finishing with 343 total yards on 60 plays, while holding the ball for 30 minutes and 05 seconds. Cincinnati managed 297 yards on 63 plays and nearly matched Pittsburgh in possession at 29 minutes and 55 seconds, but they struggled to convert drives into points. Flacco completed 23 of 40 passes for 199 yards, with 1 touchdown and 1 interception, but he struggled to sustain drives against Pittsburgh's aggressive defense. Meanwhile, standout performances from Gainwell, who scored twice and totaled 105 yards from scrimmage, and Darnell Washington, who made a 31-yard highlight reel reception, fueled the Steelers' dominance. Pittsburgh's defense was opportunistic throughout, forcing multiple turnovers, including a pick-six and fumble return for a touchdown, and consistently applying pressure on Flacco. While Aaron Rodgers started the game, he exited early due to an injury. Mason Rudolph stepped in and, in a familiar storyline, took the reins to guide the Steelers' sleigh to victory, at least on this Sunday. Aaron Rodgers started the game for the Steelers, completing 9 of 15 passes for 116 yards and a touchdown before exiting early due to an injury. Mason Rudolph stepped in seamlessly for an injured Aaron Rodgers, completing 12 of 16 passes for 127 yards and a touchdown, guiding the Steelers' offense efficiently while maintaining momentum. Both quarterbacks were effective in their limited opportunities, combining for 21 completions on 31 attempts, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions, keeping Pittsburgh in control throughout the game. While the Bengals' season continues to be a disappointment, the Steelers have struggled with their own form of mediocrity, defined by inconsistency and a recurring theme of doing just enough to get by. For Pittsburgh, the win reinforces their playoff positioning as a result of the division being disappointing. But in saying this, the Ravens are getting healthy, have been playing good football, and are soaring high in the final month and a half of the season. Steelers legend Terry Bradshaw criticized the team earlier in the season, expressing concern that the organization's moves were keeping the team locked in mediocrity and destined to remain a 500 club. For Cincinnati, the loss raises questions about Flacco's consistency, the team's offensive identity, and their ability to compete in the AFC North as the playoff race intensifies. Rodgers' wrist injury also looms over Pittsburgh, though Rudolph's performance provides reassurance for the short term. Let's take a look out west, where the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals squared off in a matchup that carried real weight for San Francisco's postseason hopes. For the 49ers, this game was far more than just another divisional meeting. It was a must-have. A loss here would have dealt a serious blow to their playoff chances, especially considering how battered they've been by injuries throughout the year. And while they've exceeded expectations in many ways given those setbacks, the desire for a legitimate playoff run burns strong in that locker room. Their aspirations took a hit in Week 10 when they were dominated by their divisional rivals, the Los Angeles Rams. And I'll admit, it's still hard not to call them the St. Louis Rams. Old habits really do die hard. But this week, out in the desert, the 49ers bounced back in a big way. They responded with the kind of toughness and precision that has defined their identity at their best. Against the Cardinals, San Francisco essentially flipped the script and delivered the same type of one-sided performance that the Rams unleashed on them just a week earlier. Physically, schematically, and emotionally, they took control and never let go. It was the exact response they needed, not only to stay afloat in the NFC playoff picture, but to prove to themselves that the fire is still there, and that this team, even bruised and patched together, still has the ability to dominate when it plays its brand of football. For the 49ers, playing their brand of football is something that can swing momentum in their direction, even as a wildcard team. And on this Sunday, it was illustrated as they delivered a statement win, taking down the Cardinals 41-22, a much-needed rebound after their recent stumble. For San Francisco, this wasn't just another divisional game. It was a must-win to keep their playoff dreams alive. With so many injuries dogging this squad all season, every victory counts. And after getting handled by the Rams just a week ago, they came into Glendale with something to prove. They did just that despite losing the time of possession battle, 25 minutes and 45 seconds to Arizona's 34 minutes and 15 seconds, and total yards, as Arizona racked up 488 total yards to San Francisco's 281 total yards. Brock Purdy, making his return, was sharp, completing 19 of 26 passes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey was electric once again, piling up 121 yards from scrimmage and finding the end zone 3 times, 2 rushing, 1 receiving, serving as the engine of this offense. Tight end George Kittle also chipped in big, hauling in 6 catches for 67 yards and 2 scores. Jacoby Brissett completed 47 of 57 passes for 452 yards, with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. On the defensive side, San Francisco made key plays when they mattered most. Safety Malik Mustafa recorded a critical interception, and Diamodor Lenoir broke one open with a 64-yard pick-six return, swinging momentum emphatically in the 49ers' favor. They even forced a goal-line fumble in the fourth quarter. Rookie corner Upton Stout knocked the ball loose, and Keyshawn White recovered it, denying Arizona a chance to mount a late comeback. So why did Arizona lose? Their offense actually moved the ball. Brissett had monster numbers, but they couldn't overcome their own mistakes. The flood of penalties, coupled with untimely turnovers and a defense that couldn't deliver in the biggest spots, doomed them. For the 49ers, their win came from execution, balanced offense, opportunistic defense, and a disciplined, efficient game plan. What this means for San Francisco's season is significant. That win keeps them firmly in the playoff hunt and proves that, even banged up, this team can respond when the pressure is on. It's a boost for their confidence and their identity. As for Arizona, this game was another harsh reminder of how thin the margin is when you're in a rebuild. Big plays alone won't win you games if you can't control your own mistakes. Let's stay out west in one heavyweight battle in the NFC, in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, with the Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Rams. In a tightly contested NFC West matchup, the Los Angeles Rams escaped with a 21-19 victory over Seattle, thanks largely to opportunistic defense and costly turnovers by Seattle. While the Seahawks dominated in yardage, amassing 414 total yards and holding the ball for 37 minutes and 49 seconds compared to the Rams, 249 yards and 22 minutes and 11 seconds of possession. 4 interceptions by Sam Darnold proved decisive. Darnold completed 29 of 44 passes for 279 yards, but threw 4 interceptions, which repeatedly gave the Rams short fields, allowing Matthew Stafford to manage the game efficiently, completing 15 of 28 passes for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns without turning the ball over. Matthew Stafford connected on 2 touchdown passes. His first went to Davante Adams on a 1-yard slant in the first quarter, giving the Rams an early lead. Later in the game, Stafford found Colby Parkinson for a 6-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter, helping seal the victory. These connections highlighted Stafford's efficiency in the red zone and allowed the Rams to capitalize on the short fields created by their opportunistic defense. The Rams struck first when Kyren Williams punched in a 1-yard touchdown, followed by Stafford's connection with Davante Adams on a 1-yard slant, marking Adams' 1,000th career reception. The Rams' defense continued to swing momentum as safety Cameron Kinchins intercepted Darnold twice, setting up Stafford's second touchdown to Colby Parkinson. Despite Seattle's resilience, including 3 field goals and a late 1-yard touchdown run by Kenneth Walker III to cut the deficit to 2 points, the Seahawks fell short when Jason Myers missed a 61-yard field goal attempt as time expired. The game highlighted a clear contrast between the two teams. Seattle moved the ball effectively but could not capitalize in the red zone, while the Rams relied on a balanced offense and a defense that forced turnovers at critical moments. Williams added 91 rushing yards to complement Stafford's efficient passing, and the Rams, ability to convert Seattle's mistakes into points proved the difference. Despite being outgained and outpossessed, Los Angeles walked away with the win, reinforcing their position in the NFC West and demonstrating the value of opportunistic defense in tight divisional matchups. Let's go digging deeper into this matchup. Through Week 11, the Rams' defense has been very effective in key areas. They rank near the top in scoring defense, allowing about 17.0 points per game, which is second best in the league per Fox Sports. Their rush defense is strong as well. They allow 96.9 rushing yards per game, which ranks them number 9 in the NFL. When it comes to pass defense, they are solid but not dominant. According to Fox Sports, they give up 216.0 passing yards per game, placing them in the middle of the pack. Overall, their defense is balanced and opportunistic, especially when it comes to generating big plays and turnovers. On the offensive side, the Rams profile as efficient and dangerous. According to PerLineups.com, they average around 339 total offensive yards per game, with 246.9 of those coming through the air. Their offense isn't purely one-dimensional. They do a good job mixing in the run, especially when it matters most. Meanwhile, the Seahawks' defense has its own strengths. According to Fox Sports, Seattle allows only 90.7 rushing yards per game, which ranks them third best in the league. Their pass defense gives up 216.7 yards per game, which is very similar to the Rams' mark. In short, their run defense is a strength, but they're more vulnerable through the air. The Rams didn't win because their offense broke out. They won because their defense made big plays, forced turnovers, and converted those into points. The Seahawks' offense had yardage, but their mistakes and inability to convert those into touchdowns, especially after turnovers, ended up being the difference. I'm not ready to say Sam Darnold comes up short in the critical moments, and he's not able to deliver for his team against the better teams, but there's no question the Rams' defense shined when it mattered most. Los Angeles didn't exactly run away with the game. The Seahawks had possession on the final drive, with a real chance to snatch victory. In the end, this was a clash between two of the NFC's top teams, and someone had to win, while someone had to lose. Next time these teams meet, the outcome could be entirely different, highlighting just how evenly matched they are in talent and execution. Let's head to Denver for another big Week 11 contest between the Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs in a tight AFC West battle. The Denver Broncos edged out the Kansas City Chiefs 22-19, thanks to clutch plays, special teams, and a late-game drive that sealed the deal. Bo Nix, Denver's quarterback, completed 24 of 37 passes for 295 yards, navigating key third downs late in the game, including a critical conversion to Cortland Sutton, to set up Will Lutz's walk-off 35-yard field goal as time expired. The Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes threw for 276 yards on 29 of 45 attempts, with 2 touchdowns and an interception, connecting with Travis Kelce for a 21-yard touchdown. But their season took a hit when Kansas City failed to convert crucial opportunities. Denver outgained Kansas City with 342 total yards to 311, and although the Chiefs had a slight edge in possession, 30 minutes to 31 seconds to 29 minutes and 29 seconds, they couldn't convert enough drives into touchdowns. In the end, it was Denver's poise, Lutz's clutch kicking, and Nix's composure under pressure that sealed the victory. What proved costly was a blocked extra point after that Kelce score, a mistake Denver capitalized on by keeping the game within reach. Despite being outgained early, the Broncos outworked the Chiefs in the red zone, and Denver's offense stayed disciplined, committing no turnovers. They ran a compact but efficient game, just 61 plays, and keeping the Chiefs off balance. While Kansas City, though they had more first downs, couldn't finish in the red zone, going just 1 of 4. In the end, it was Denver's poise, Lutz's reliability, and Nix's composure under pressure that cost the Chiefs dearly, turning the game into a pivotal win for the Broncos in the division. Moving east to Cleveland, Ohio, the Baltimore Ravens took on the Cleveland Browns. In a gritty AFC North showdown, the Baltimore Ravens pulled out a 23-16 road win over the Cleveland Browns, thanks to a late-game rushing touchdown by Mark Andrews and a tough defensive effort. Lamar Jackson led the team, 14 completions on 25 attempts for 193 yards and 2 interceptions. Dylan Gabriel led the offense before leaving with a concussion, completing 7 of 10 passes for 68 yards. Rookie Shedeur Sanders struggled in relief, finishing 4 for 16 for 47 yards and an interception. Myles Garrett led the Browns' defense with multiple pressures on Lamar Jackson, including 4 sacks that disrupted key drives. Carson Schweisinger intercepted a pass, showing the Browns' Defense made flashes but couldn't stop Baltimore when it mattered most. While the numbers may not reflect it, it felt like the Browns had control of much of the game and carried a 16-10 lead into halftime. But Baltimore came alive in the second half, not allowing Cleveland to score again. The quarterback matchup was notable. Dillon Gabriel started for the Browns but exited in the second half due to a concussion. And rookie Shedeur Sanders finished 4 for 16 for 47 yards with an interception and a fumble in his NFL debut. So 2 rookie quarterbacks played in this game. And perhaps, maybe this is why, the Ravens were able to hang around all game and eventually pull out the victory. For Baltimore, Lamar Jackson faced heavy pressure, being sacked 5 times, but managed to guide the offense in crucial moments. The game-winning play came on a 4th and inches late in the fourth quarter when the Ravens executed a clever fake. Andrews lined up under center and broke open for a 35-yard touchdown run, securing the victory. Earlier, Devin Bush and Carson Schweisinger had each intercepted Jackson, setting up critical scoring drives. Baltimore ran 60 plays to Cleveland's 54, outgaining them 351 yards to 187, and controlled the ball for 32 minutes and 59 seconds compared to the Browns, 27 minutes and 01 second. This win marked the Ravens' 4th straight victory, evening their record at 5-5. While the Browns' inability to finish drives and the struggles of their rookie quarterback highlighted the challenges they face moving forward. Ultimately, Baltimore's combination of opportunistic defense, disciplined offense, and clutch execution under pressure made the difference in this tight AFC North battle. The Ravens are soaring high, racking up wins and momentum, and are proving that, when healthy, are still one of the top teams to beat, while the Browns and their fan base remain brown. Despite flashes of effort on the field, Cleveland continues to struggle with consistency and execution, leaving both players and supporters in the dumps as Baltimore looks increasingly like the team to beat in the AFC North. Baltimore's consistent execution on both sides of the ball contrasts sharply with Cleveland's ongoing challenges, particularly at quarterback and in finishing drives, underscoring the gap between the division's contenders and its underachievers. On Sunday night, the Detroit Lions traveled to Philadelphia to take on the recovered surging Philadelphia Eagles. This is one of those matchups many had penciled in as a playoff game in January, and the environment at Lincoln Financial Field felt like a playoff game. The Detroit Lions actually outgained the Philadelphia Eagles, recording 317 total yards to Philadelphia's 272. However, possession told a different story. The Eagles controlled the ball for 35 minutes and 48 seconds, while the Lions held it for only 24 minutes and 12 seconds. Jared Goff for the Lions and Jalen Hurts for the Eagles were the featured signal callers. 2 quarterbacks who, in different ways, lean more toward managing games rather than flamboyant playmaking. Goff went 14 of 37 for 255 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. He struggled with efficiency in the passing game, but attempted to move the offense under tough conditions. Meanwhile, Hurts was 14 of 28 for 135 passing yards, and he added 31 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown on a 1-yard tush-push before halftime. Both QBs didn't light up the stat sheet. Goff had a rough night in completion percentage, and Hurts leaned on his legs and short yardage savvy. Their performance reflected a conservative, methodical game plan: protect the football, rely on the run, and let field position and defense decide the contest. On the ground, the Eagles held a clear advantage over the Lions, rushing 40 times for 148 yards, averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Their backfield was led by Saquon Barkley, who carried the ball 26 times for 83 yards, and Tank Bigsby, who added 34 yards on just 4 attempts. Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts also contributed, with 10 rushing attempts for 31 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, the Lions' running game was limited. They accumulated 74 rushing yards on 21 carries, averaging 3.5 yards per attempt. Detroit's lead back Jahmyr Gibbs had 12 carries for 39 yards, while David Montgomery added 27 yards on 6 carries. This running game discrepancy helped the Eagles control the flow. By sustaining drives with their ground attack, they were able to dominate time of possession, limiting the Lions' opportunities to mount long drives. Detroit gained yards but couldn't translate them into points, while Philadelphia controlled the pace, executed efficiently in key moments, and leveraged the run game to win the game. Week 11's Monday Night Football featured a matchup that may have been hyped up in the offseason, but here in Week 11, outside of their respective fan bases, this game meant very little, including the playoffs. If the playoffs were involved, more care and attention would have been at stake. In saying this, in a marquee showdown in Sin City, the Dallas Cowboys, at 3 wins, 5 losses and a tie, travel to take on the Las Vegas Raiders, 2-7, at Allegiant Stadium on Monday, November 17th. The storyline going in revolves around two struggling franchises trying to recapture momentum. Dallas enters the contest with one of the league's most potent offenses, but their unit has been undermined by a porous defense, a combination that has kept them from stringing together meaningful wins. In most of their losses, Dallas has not been able to score enough points due to their defense's inability to stop the other team. On the other side, the Raiders are also searching for answers. Their season has been marred by inconsistency and offensive struggles, and few would argue that they're in a place where rebuilding feels inevitable. This has to be frustrating for Raiders fans, because the team did bring in star quarterback Geno Smith, drafted a potential star running back, Ashton Ginty, and added Pete Carroll as head coach, and it has done nothing for their winning ways. Both teams had some type of hype coming into the season, especially Dallas, who is always in the headlines, but the narratives have not played out. Quarterback Dak Prescott was wonderful on this night, completing 25 of 33 passes for 268 yards and 4 touchdowns, finding 4 different receivers in the end zone. George Pickens was his top target, hauling in 9 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb added 5 catches for 66 yards and a score, despite not being on the field for the Cowboys' opening drive. Running back Javonte Williams showed balance, rushing 22 times for 93 yards. Dallas struck big in the second quarter, scoring 21 points to seize control of the game. Prescott connected first with Lamb on an 18-yard touchdown, then hit tight end Jake Ferguson from 5 yards out, and capped the frame with a stunning 37-yard strike to Pickens. By halftime, the Cowboys had built a 24-9 lead. On the defensive side, Dallas applied consistent pressure. They sacked Geno Smith 4 times, including 1.5 from recent arrival Quinnen Williams, who made a statement in primetime. Smith finished 27 of 42 for 238 yards, with 1 touchdown and an interception. The Raiders' run game was virtually non-existent. They ran just 12 times all game, tied for one of the lowest totals in franchise history. Las Vegas got on the board early, with Daniel Carlson knocking through a 35-yard field goal after Max Crosby forced a strip sack on Prescott. The Raiders added another Carlson kick before halftime, but their offense petered out as the Cowboys' momentum built. In the fourth quarter, after Dallas was flagged deep in their own territory, the Cowboys' defense sealed the deal with a safety, putting an exclamation point on a dominant night. Beyond the stats, the game carried deep emotional weight. The Cowboys honored Neyland in multiple ways, from wearing commemorative shirts to holding a moment of silence before the game, and their performance felt like a cathartic release. For Dallas, the win improves their record to 4 wins, 5 losses, and 1 tie. Their playoff hopes, while very thin, remain alive. And they did so with cohesion, fire, and purpose. For Las Vegas, now 2-8, the loss underscored the team's ongoing struggles, especially on offense, and raises more questions about their direction under their current coaching staff. The Cowboys demonstrated that they can put up points against any team. Even better, their defense stepped up and made crucial stops. However, this performance came against a Raiders team that has struggled across the board. The win brought the Cowboys a bit closer to playoff contention, though the road ahead remains long. They continue to have something to play for this season, while the Raiders face numerous questions heading into the offseason. Throughout the year, uncertainty has grown around the Raiders, particularly concerning their quarterback situation and head coaching direction. And on that note, folks, let's call it a night. Week 11 underscored a few league-wide truths. Defenses matter, turnovers change everything, and the teams that make the fewest mistakes in crunch time usually walk away victorious. For teams like the Bills and the Broncos, this week could be a springboard, a sign they seriously belong in the conversation. The Broncos, in particular, continue to outperform expectations. They play a brand of football that leaves you right at the edge of your seat. They claw their way through tight games and often get rolling late, which is exciting, but also concerning. Come playoff time, that style of play doesn't always translate. Postseason football rarely rewards slow starts for very long. For others, like the Bengals or the Seahawks, Week 11 was a reminder that potential means nothing without executions. We still believe in Seattle, especially that defense, but the question now becomes, how far can they really go in the NFC playoff picture? As we head into Week 12, the margin for error narrows, and as we continue digging deeper into the NFL, one thing becomes clear. There is no truly dominant team, no matter what the records may suggest. The numbers, the plays, the moments, they're what separate contenders from pretenders. Whether it's jockeying for playoff position or just trying to salvage a season, every snap, every turnover, every field goal try becomes that much more significant. From standout quarterback performances to clutch defensive stands and game-changing plays, we make it our mission here at Diggin' Deeper to capture every moment and bring it straight to you, the fans, so no defining snap goes unnoticed. From all of us here, thank you for joining me for another broadcast of Diggin' Deeper into the NFL. I'm Brian Parsons, your humble host, wishing you all the best. Stay safe, enjoy the games ahead, and God bless.